Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor right now, subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I can send my best to your inbox every day. If you like our watches, you can buy them on thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, or sell luxury watches with over 1,700 available, pre-owned, late model, and vintage. Thewatchbox.com. So today we're discussing the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Reference 26020ST, 42mm in stainless steel. This is one of the in-house calibers, a handsome watch that wears larger than its nominal 42. As you can see on my 16cm circumference wrist, this thing has stance. It's 42, but that's not including the crown guards, and chronograph pushers. And remember, Royal Oaks are always broad across the wrist. That's where the defining measurement can be found. And this one is 54mm lug-to-lug, but if you include the plots, these double intermediate links that join the strap to the case, it's actually a broader 50mm, so this watch has got a little bit of a footprint. I would say my 16cm circumference wrist with this hornback strap is close to the lower limit of ergonomic ease for wearing the watch. You could get away with perhaps the diver strap on a 15cm circumference wrist, but you're not going to go much smaller wrist-wise and wear this watch with security and proper proportion. It is a big watch. Think of it as a 45. Now, in terms of heft on the wrist, it's fairly substantial. You know you're wearing a luxury product, and the case is relatively thick at 14.8mm thick. It'll still slip underneath a jacket cuff, just not the dress shirt sleeve beneath. The hornback is resilient. It is stiff. It's everything you've heard. It's also substantial, undoubtedly of premium construction and destined for long-wearing life. Hornback being this central ridged structure down the center of the alligator leather, it's a thicker cut, more rugged look than the flatter rectangular scale that had been used previously. This is something that came to prominence in the late 2000s, initially on the Safari model. Today, hornback is pretty much the standard issue alligator leather strap for the Royal Oak Offshore family. You can see sheer sides, very thick, fixed the case with screws. I prefer that to spring bars. It's just more secure. Takes a bit more time to replace the strap and a bit more money to manufacture, but it's worth it for the security and the confidence it imparts. On the underside of the hornback, supple calfskin. It is a comfortable strap if you've got the broad wrist for it. And then single fold deployant, logo style, olive high polish, stainless steel to match the case. Classically low profile pin buckle style when closed. You can see that this watch is beautifully executed, as every Royal Oak is. Whether you get your Royal Oak in metal, carbon, or ceramic, the level of execution, beveling, satin finish, curves, facets is always first rate. This is really what you pay for when you buy an Audemars Piguet artisanal finish. You'll note the perfect alignment of the crease of the bezel through the mid case, through the case back. The satin finish, immaculate with a squared off shoulder, and then a transitional bevel that you'll note actually diminishes as it approaches the mid case before flaring again at the opposite side. This is one of those hand-laid artisanal touches that sets an Audemars Piguet apart from, for example, a Rolex or an Omega. You'll also note there are very small hairline polished bevels around the crown guard structure, so a lot of attention to detail at play. Unlike the original Royal Oak, the bezel gasket is fully expressed as a styling and structural element of the case. It's a thin black sliver on an original Gerald Gent Royal Oak. Here it's big and burly, almost like a tire encircling the bezel. You'll also note that the bezel has the classical rounded edges and flat sheer top with satin grain that we've come to expect from both Royal Oak and Offshore, albeit with recessed hexagonal steel bezel bolts, as it is steel on an Offshore, white gold bolts on a traditional Royal Oak. You'll also note mega tapisserie dial with a gloss finish, as you can see the hobnails lighting up in the soft light of my light box, and applied white gold Arabic numerals and white gold baton hands at center. There will be a loom shot at the end, so stay tuned. The dial base is visually united with the bezel by a sloped Rehaut or tachymeter scale, which you can see is dished out in almost bowl-like fashion to unite the upper and lower components of the bezel and dial. And then there's a sunken date with an inlaid magnifier. Note, it's not like a Rolex. There's no magnifier on the crystal. It's inside the dial. And it is sunken, of course, because this watch is based on a modular chronograph. You can see the crown and the base caliper, along with the date, sunken below the chronograph module, and you'll note the centers of the pushers are a little bit higher than the stem of the crown. That's how you know it's modular, and it's one of the counterfeiting fails that those who attempt to create these watches from scratch in machine shops often forget. A Royal Oak Offshore, unless it's a ladies, should not have an integrated chronograph, and it should always have a sunken date. Now, in terms of mechanical specification, this one does have the in-house caliber 3126 base movement with a Dubois de Praz vertical clutch chronograph module added on top. Screw-down crown, robust seals, 100-meter water resistance. Thanks to the AP in-house caliber, you get a 50-hour power reserve, bidirectional automatic winding. AP uses unlubricated, high-tech, high-efficiency ceramic rotor bearings. The reason it chooses bidirectional winding rather than the more efficient unidirectional is for smoothness. They didn't want even a whiff of Valjoux 7750 rotor wobble in the Royal Oak Offshore. That tends to be the signature of that other oversized sports watch with bezel bolts. Moreover, the caliber 3126 features a Gyromax style free-sprung balance and a full dual-anchored balance bridge for toughness and shock resistance. You get quick set so you can rapidly cycle the date, and you get hacking or stop seconds when you thread out the crown and pull it so you can synchronize to a reference timer. 59 joules, 365 parts. This is a complicated chronograph. Beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. The reduction from 4 to 3 hertz compared to the old JLC powered offshores, responsible for the extension of the power reserve from the JLC's old 38 hours to this one's 50. Beautifully made, but with impressive stance on the wrist. This is a combination of high horology and aggressive modern design. A classic since the first one bowed at Baselworld. Yep, AP used to exhibit at Baselworld back in 1993, 25 years young. You can celebrate with this one on your wrist on our website. And we're back with the birthday boy, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 42, 25 years young as of 2018. Finally old enough to rent a car. Don't rent. Own this oversized sports chronograph on our website.